So my next guest is called the biggest pinkwasher by Queers for Palestine, my good friend Yuval David. Welcome.
It's good to be here. I mean, size matters when it comes to pinkwashing, apparently.
Oh my God, and you are the biggest pinkwasher.
According to them, I was actually, I don't know, people said that I should be flattered. I can't say that I'm flattered by hate groups. The fact that hate groups are aware of what I'm doing and are very disturbed by what I'm doing, maybe just stirring the pot.
Maybe just explain to our audience, first of all, because there's so many of these woke terms being thrown around. What is pinkwashing? I don't think everybody knows.
Well, I guess I'm a good person to describe woke terms because I used to be woke.
Exactly.
When the woke movement was really starting. Now I'm awake.
From woke to
but
awake.
I'm from woke to awake. And it's unfortunate because we've seen so many of these progressive movements change and shift and actually deviate from the values that they're supposed to represent. So the goalposts shifted. My values have not changed. The movements that I was, and I am saying was, past tense, part of, shifted. And the safe space that's supposed to include all of these people, movements of diversity and inclusion and equity and DEI, all these things that they talk about, no longer include everybody within the victimhood competition, and they are anti-Jewish. They exclude Jews.
Yuval, you were a big macher, for lack of a better word.
You didn't have to spit on me when you said macher. That was a good
You're
mach.
a big macher in the LGBTQ activist community.
Right. For
When-
20-something years.
When did it shift? Because my impression is that it shifted before October 7th.
It did. When is your impression of when it shifted? When did you, because you are so informed and so connected to Jewish advocacy, activism, representation, and Israeli. So let me ask you, when did you notice it? And then I'll tell you when I saw it.
After the second Intifada,
Okay.
I mean, I'm going back now 20 odd years when I moved here.
Yeah.
Is when I think the media started to shift. And then I would say 10 years later, so let's say 10, 15 years ago, I started to seeing the progressives turning on us.
Brilliant. You
Am I
did
wrong?
see it. No, you're not wrong. The fact is, though, that most Jewish organizations internationally and the Israeli government turned a blind eye, ignored it because they said, oh, look at what we did with BDS. We turned BDS into this big movement. And when I would raise the red flag about this the anti-Semitic factions within the progressive LGBTQ left-leaning movements, I went to the heads of Jewish organizations in the United States. I have access to Knesset members and had it back then too, and I met with them. And I met with LGBTQ groups here in Israel, and I said, this is a problem. We're seeing anti-Semitism festering and growing. And they said, no, but what we did with BDS, they kept saying that. And I said, you know what? What we did with BDS, I said, that is absolute narcissism. The Jewish community did not help create and fund BDS by talking about them. BDS was a very well-funded movement. So these Queers for Palestine movements that I started to notice in 2016 were happening very organically because there were people who understood how to manipulate the feeble minds. So when the Jewish orgs and leaders said, let's not talk about it, they're too small, I said, that is a wrong way of thinking.
But even LGBT Jewish organizations, because there's plenty of those as well, they also didn't spot it, or did they?
There was spotting of it. It was impossible not to spot. And I can name many organizations that noticed it. Some played it safe. Some organizations said, well, we're a Jewish organization, not an Israeli organization. We're a Jewish organization, not a Zionist organization. And my argument to that is no, time out. If you're a Jewish organization, you are a Zionist organization because Zionism is ingrained in Judaism.
But that's exactly playing to the enemy's hands
Right.
of separating the Jewish people.
And that is
with
one of
Israel.
And that is one of the problems I face ad infinitum that exhausts me as an American Jew. I'm exhausted by the Jews who say, as a Jew, I don't need to support Israel. As a Jew, I don't need to be Zionist. And I said, no, as a Jew, you should understand that our prayers, Shabbat prayers, most of our holidays refer to the land. We have prayers about rainfall on the land. Zionism isn't a new movement. It's been ingrained in our peoplehood since we were first conquered and occupied by invading armies.
It is an inextricable part of our peoplehood.
Exactly.
We became a people in this land. But Yuval, I want to ask you, when did you first feel excluded from the movements that you were an activist and you were leading?
I think the anti-Jewish bias that I started experiencing happened long ago. I was speaking at an event, an LGBTQ event, a prominent conference with like 8,000 people that I would do almost every year, and throughout the year at different LGBTQ advocacy conferences. And 2005 or 2006, I had a keynote speech, and I mentioned how last night I had this great spiritual experience. I was at Shabbat services at the local synagogue, and I heard a murmur in the audience, and it was an audible "oh," and I heard it, and all of a sudden I thought, no, I'm going to respond to that. And I said, wait, before I continue, I heard some people moan and groan. Was it because I said that I went to synagogue last night? And someone said, yeah. And I was like, oh.
From the audience.
Yeah. And I said, now that is the problem. If we are truly a movement of inclusion and tolerance, why are we excluding people who embrace religion? And I'm not walking around with shtrei malach and tzitzit, and I don't even have a kippah on my head, but I love my Jewishness.
Of course.
And I said, you know what? And I said this in front of this huge crowd. I said, if I would have told you that I went on dating apps or went to a few gay bars last night, it would have been totally accepted. But if I'm telling you that I went to a synagogue last night and you're groaning about it as if I'm doing something wrong, then that shows that we are not a movement of inclusion for everybody.
Did you get a clap at least from the majority of the
No. And I stood up for myself and said what I believed. And I said, there's a closeting of religious voices within the LGBTQ community. There's a closeting of conservative voices within the LGBTQ community, and it started long ago. So there are people who do want to embrace their intersectionality, their intersectional identity as a totally normal thing. The fact that progressive movements try to exclude that is part of the problem with progressive movements and why we're seeing conservative waves across the United States, across Europe. They're trying, at least, and even here in Israel.
So let's go back to our friends at the Queers for Palestine.
Firstly, they're not our friends. I know you're saying it sweetly, but they are not my friends. They are my enemies, and I will speak openly about them.
What do they mean when they say you're pinkwashing?
Oh, right. That was your first question, but we deviated.
It's fine.
So pinkwashing. A pinkwasher is a term that they use to... a term that's meant to define people like me who use their LGBTQ identity to mask the sins that they see of the state of Israel.
Right.
So they condemn Israel and Zionism and the Jewish people for being, for example, they call us white supremacist, apartheid,
fascists,
colonialists,
yes.
Whatever. And they say that just like whitewashing offense by hiding any filth, you whitewash a crime. They say that I pinkwash the crimes of the Jewish people.
And the fact that Tel Aviv is 20% gay is, they're oblivious.
The fact that there are LGBT members of Knesset, the fact that LGBT people in Israel and across the Jewish faith are seen in all different denominations. The fact that LGBT Jews, actually, let's not even talk about LGBT Jews for a second. The fact that Jewish people are part of the progressive movements and the conservative movements and civil rights, social justice, human rights movements, it's ingrained in our peoplehood.
Absolutely.
And when they call me a pinkwasher, as if I'm trying to defend or I'm a state-sponsored Mossad agent, which I was accused of before. And by the way, if any of the viewers are wanting to find somebody to sponsor by the state, especially with the Mossad, let me know, because apparently I'm ready. Apparently I'm on the payroll, but I haven't received a check yet.
We're all on the payroll, but nobody gets a check.
Where are the checks going?
Exactly, no checks.
So that's what pinkwashing means. Pinkwashing is a term that they use to immediately condemn any LGBT person who defends the state of Israel and is Zionist.
And they do it with other
answer.
things, like greenwashing is when we talk about our alternative energy and how Israel is one of the biggest exporters of clean energy. They say we're greenwashing. There's always some washing going on. Everything good we do is not good enough, of course, because our existence is what bothers them.
Yeah, I was accused of being a greenwasher as well when I created and hosted a documentary series with the Jewish National Fund about water recycling and reuse in Israel. Israel recycles almost 98 to 99% of its wastewater and reuses it for agriculture.
Yeah.
Israel is the number one country country that recycles wastewater.
Yeah.
The number 2 country is Spain, which recycles 12% of its wastewater. So the difference is huge. Anyway, that's when I was accused of being a greenwasher. Now I'm accused of being a pinkwasher. I'm wondering what color is going to be next.
So, Yuval, what's happened to your friends, your Jewish friends in this community? Have other people like you gone from woke to wake up? Or do you feel pretty alone in this? I
feel very alone in this. And I receive messages on social media every day, and way too many people have my phone number and send me WhatsApps and whatever, reaching out, asking for help because they feel alone. And they thank me for saying the things that they're unable to say. But I say to them, why aren't you saying them? Don't leave me alone out here in the front lines. If you believe and know that your values are important, then be a soldier. We can't only let our IDF soldiers fight and get injured and die for our people. Every Jew must be an advocate and activist for our Jewish people. That's ingrained in our peoplehood. And I tell them this by saying, I recognize your trauma. I recognize your pain. I recognize the sadness, the depression, and anxiety. But I say, don't feel buried. You're not buried. You're planted. You are planted. And what you're feeling, all the negativity, is meant to nourish your spirit to grow. When people say that we're the chosen people, it's not that we're chosen to be better than anybody else. No, it's chosen
to do the hard work.
To do the hard work and to be aware of the challenges. And hopefully that will lead us to being better people. That's why we focus on tikkun olam and tikkun nefesh and tikkun guf and to repair this world. It's tough, and it's what our people deal with. And buck up. Life sometimes sucks.
Absolutely. And I think that that's the problem really in the West, that everybody's been taught to be such a snowflake that they can't even talk to anyone who doesn't agree with them, never mind disagree openly with somebody. But do you also have Jewish friends in the gay community who've gone the other way and just have gone in lock, stock and barrel for the anti-Israel rhetoric?
100%.
What do you do with them?
I've lost probably at least 75% of my friends, my former friends. LGBT, progressive, civil rights, social justice, like the people who would refer to themselves as social justice warriors, who I was around all the time because I loved being around activists, no matter what your cause is, as long as I deemed it as something that's beneficial. A lot of these people have become anti-Israel. People who came to my Shabbat dinners, people who came to my pool parties, people who came to my were +1 or +2 or +20 sometimes to the film screening events of my films and episodic series. People who met my mother are no longer friends of mine. Now, as a mama's boy, like that is the biggest insult. If you met my mom and now you hate me, like done. Don't mess with my mom.
Don't mess with a Jewish boy and his mommy.
No way. But it's completely true. So it does feel very lonely. And I travel across the United States, Canada, and internationally as a speaker and workshop leader, meeting with campus groups and high school groups and synagogues and churches and different organizations. My goal is to motivate, activate, and inspire every Jew and ally to be a better representative of the Jewish people and Israel, which is being a better representative of the Jewish people.
Absolutely.
It's exhausting. Yeah. It's important. And then I go home and I feel so alone. The phone isn't ringing like it used to by these friends who wanted to just hang out. But here's the other thing, because I'm not crying and I'm not acting like a victim, I have made amazing friendships since then. And the friendships that I had of the people who were true friends are now even better friends. They have become chosen family. And that's what this hardship has awakened so many Jews and allies to, is we recognized that person doesn't necessarily fit me. I shouldn't be investing my time or my energy in specific people, organizations, or movements. Those people fit me. That organizations fit me. They appreciate me. And, we learn that in life.
And they're not necessarily the people that you would ever have thought to have been your friend. You talk a lot, Yuval, about changing your political alliances. You were a lifelong Democrat.
I was.
And you voted for Trump.
I did.
People went nuts when you said that.
People are still going nuts. I mean, Fox News just aired this whole interview and repackaged it, basically cutting the interviewer out, which I'm shocked because she's brilliant. And they just had me speak about the shifting values. Not my shifting values, my shifting political affiliation.
You have the same values.
No, my values are
Everybody else moved.
So I'm no longer a Democrat, and I voted for Trump because I understood where I was safer. I've been physically assaulted because I'm a Jew in the United States. My body was at risk. I feel perfectly safe as a gay man walking in most areas of the United States. I don't as a Jew. And most Jews, especially those who are demonstratively Jewish, whether they have the Magen Davids like we have and the hostage tag, or they're wearing a kippah, or they're wearing a shaitel, or whatever it is, they get targeted.
Yeah.
And when people say to me, Yuval, don't you feel afraid to wear the Magen David and walk around? And they say, maybe you should tuck it in. And I say, no, I'm not going to tuck it in. And yes, I do feel afraid, and that's why I wear it. Nobody is going to closet me for my Jewishness, and nobody is going to closet me for my Zionism and my support of Israel.
The irony of it all, that the community that celebrates coming out of the closet is closeting Jews. It's just too heartbreaking to even think about.
Well, so it's heartbreaking, and we as the Jewish people understand that heartbreak is part of life. We are a funny people because we understand the sadness.
Yes.
We're funny and want to find the humor because we can't only cry. My grandparents used to say that. God, I'm thinking in Hebrew now. They would say, you either have an option to cry and cry or laugh and cry.
Yes.
The choice is yours.
That's beautiful. I love also Golda Meir's quote that Jewish people don't have the luxury of pessimism because we just got to keep going. So Yuval, you've now gone from being a leader in the LGBTQ community in those progressive spaces to running in the Kol Israel Party as a leader in Jewish spaces now. What do you hope to achieve, and why did you pick Kol Israel? Shameless plug, it's my party, of course, because we are the most diverse and pluralistic party in the World Zionist Congress elections. How did I manage to convince you, Yuval?
Well, first of all, I've known you and adored you for a long time, so anything that you would do, I want to be part of already. So let's just do a shameless plug for your being fabulous and brilliant and smart and a reliable, trusted, vetted source, which I appreciate. Those are people I want to be around. I've been a Jewish activist my entire life. I've been basically a professional Jew, as it were, for more than 20 years. Yeah. It's just increased and taken up more and more of my time. The diversity that I try to focus on and represent of our Jewish people is paramount. And that's what Kol Israel represents. Kol Israel as a party represents me as a Jew and represents our peoplehood, where it's the power of the people, where it's about all of us bringing in our diversity. And in Kol Israel, we have people who are conservative and we have people who are progressive. We have people who are religious and we have people who are atheist. We have people who are of Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Ethiopian. We have people who are American. We have people who are Israeli. We have all of this massive diversity, and we're joining together saying, you know what? Our differences excite us. Our unity and our focus on a common goal of saying, hey, our Jewish people have a problem. The Zionist movement has a major problem. Israel has major problems. Let's empower all of us in unison to represent and fix those problems. So that's why Kol Israel it just made sense to me.
Well, we're very proud to have you. And the work that you do, you are a relentless warrior, I would say. I watch your content. It's not only entertaining, but it's thoughtful, it's intelligent, and it's passionate, because that's who you are. Yuval David, we are very blessed to have you in Israel as an advocate. We're blessed to have you in America as an advocate.
I know it is. I do have to say, I feel so much safer in Israel than I do in the United States.
People don't seem to understand.
People don't understand it.
I mean, where were you on Friday night when the Houthis attacked? Out in a bar?
Yeah.
And you had to duck for cover?
Actually, yes. I was at a Shabbat dinner, and then we all went out and had, drinks. And it's amazing that the reason I'm trying to understand why I feel safer in Israel when we have the Houthis and we have Hamas and we have Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hezbollah that's still,
Iran.
And we have, of course, the head of the snake. We have Iran. We have all of these terrorist groups that are trying to kill us. And in the United States, people are targeting me individually.
Yeah.
Here they're targeting me just as another random Jew.
Collectively.
So I feel safer. I was like, oh my God, at least in Israel, I'm just a random Jew. I'm part of the collective Jewish people. In Israel, I'm being targeted because I'm
America,
Yuval David.
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. In America, I'm being targeted because I'm Yuval David. In Israel, I'm being targeted because I'm a Jew, just another random Jew. So I feel safer as a random Jew.
I've never
What
thought
kind of
about that, but
mind
that's
twisting
actually
is that?
very interesting that here we feel safer because we're targeted collectively. And in America, you specifically by a specific hate group are being targeted individually. And I wish it didn't have to be that way.
So, I mean, to all of your audience and listeners, connect with me, follow me across social media, because as the FBI told me when they warned me about these hate groups targeting me, they said that I need to tell every friendly, that's actually how they said it. They said, tell every friendly that they need to follow you across social media and engage with your social media accounts in order to shift the algorithm, because the hate groups are finding people like you and like me and other people who speak out about their Jewish advocacy and activism, and they try to engage with our accounts so then they can manipulate who engages with our accounts. That's the way the algorithm
That's
works.
interesting information. So basically what you're saying is the more people interact positively with your account, then the algorithm shifts.
Correct. So let me explain that again.
Please.
If I follow you, and I engage and say, wow, Fleur, well done, brilliantly put, or just a heart, you know, or a Magen David, or whatever I engage with your posts, then your posts are going to be shown to my followers and the people who watch and engage with my accounts. So what did the hate groups do? They said, oh, if they hate you and they engage with your accounts, then your social media posts will be shown to them.
Right.
And not as much to the friendlies.
Got it.
So every Jew needs to be on social media, even if you don't want to post, even if you don't want to be active, 5 minutes a week, 5 minutes a month. I don't care. Go on there and click like, share, whatever, watch a video or two of the Jewish advocates who are doing things for our people. Help them. Social media and media are one and the same things.
Yes.
97%, and this is a statistic I learned of, around 97% of people under the age of 45 receive their news and world information from TikTok and Instagram.
Oh, God.
So if we want to affect what people know and battle the disinformation and misinformation campaigns, we all must be active.
That's amazing advice. Yuval David is teaching us how to boost our algorithm spiritually and also on social media. God bless you, Yuval. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, and Am Yisrael Chai.
Am Yisrael Chai, baby.